All right, welcome everybody for another video here with Craig Greenwood on the world that we now see ourselves in. First of all, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers. If you like, you want to share, all that kind of stuff, go ahead and do that because that really helps our page gets out there. And this is just obviously my views on what I see the world. You feel free to disagree. I'm not saying that I'm right, it's just my views. But I do encourage people to, if you do listen to me, I hope that it makes you want to think a little bit more and go out there and investigate yourself and come up with your own opinions, because that's that's all we can ever ask. As long as you're thought about it and come up with your own opinions, that's far better than just regurgitating what someone else has said and thinking it's gospel when in actual fact it might not be. All right, so it's good to see that there's a lot more people now coming out and saying stuff that I said in my first video over 2.5 weeks ago. So that's really encouraging. So I wasn't just a complete nutter 2.5 weeks ago. Unfortunately, those people I think should have come out and said that earlier. And a lot of people, they're scared that you need to get a bit of momentum up there of saying some stuff before before other people will come out and say what they think, because they're scared of the social backlash, which is a shame of the way that we live in society at the moment. People are quite scared to say their views if it's a little bit different than the mainstream media, because people just jump on you so quickly for no reason, just because they want you to keep the line type thing, which is dangerous and dumb. But anyway, for those who of you watching those, great. If you haven't seen it in my earlier videos, you want to go back, there's a few out there on all different stuff, so you're most welcome to have a look. My next video is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be on, we're doing some questions and answers and interviews on people, what they've missed during the lockdown the most. And I think you'll find that quite fascinating, what some people missed the most. Obviously today, first day in lockdown, level 3. I can't believe that some people spent their whole night sleeping in their cars in order to go to McDonald's this morning when it opened. I mean, you got to ask yourself, what's going on in their mind, or how much of a life have they got where their most exciting thing to do on level 3 lockdown is to spend a whole night in the car to get a burger. It's a really, it's a bit sick really, but I guess, whatever floats your boat. But I'm hoping my life would have a bit more meaning than just a burger from McDonald's. But it is nice to get out there. I have to admit, I went and got a coffee today, not because I had to go and get a coffee, I think it's just because I was driving past from doing a pickup, so I thought, why not? So that's nice, but I certainly wouldn't have stayed in line for 12 hours overnight to get a coffee, so that's quite interesting. So this video is basically going to be on what you can do to survive all this. We've kind of talked about a little bit before, but this is going to talk a little bit more. And first of all, I want to just let everybody know that I'm an optimist, and there's people out there that are saying that you shouldn't say anything bad about the economy, about what might happen, about house prices or people being unemployed, all that kind of stuff. But you have to you plan for the worst and then hope for the best. That's the way I view life. So you plan for the worst, plan for the fact that you might not have a job, you might not have a business, that you might not be able to pay your mortgage, all that kind of stuff. Plan for that kind of scenario. And then of course, if that doesn't happen and we come out of this a lot better than we think, great, that's awesome. But if you just put your blinkers on and think, no, we'll be fine, and then suddenly find out that you're redundant, the interest rate's gone from 3% to 8%, whatever, and you're not prepared for it, then of course you're going to get hurt big time. So think about the worst case scenario, plan for that, and then hopefully we all come out better the other side for it. I mean, I've got a business, obviously I want that to survive. I have to plan for the worst. I've got to plan for no income for quite a while. I've got to plan for once we start again on level 2, that it's only going to be very slow. And so I'm planning for all that, so that I'm not going to sit here in 3 months' time and go, oh my God, I didn't expect to get no money for 3 months, because that is what's going to happen. And so hopefully we can get all through that. So my advice to all of you out there is the first thing I want to do is get all your costs right down, so that if worst thing happens and you do actually end up losing your job, you've got to remember right now is that a lot of people are in a scenario where they think they're safe in their jobs because the government is paying their employer to pay them to stay at home. And of course your job is not safe. It never has been, and never will be. It's not guaranteed. And so what the government did is that they paid the employers to pay the subsidy because they couldn't handle the unemployment like America's doing at the moment. So America didn't do that. They just said if you haven't got a job, you have to go and apply for the unemployment, which takes time, blah, blah, blah. So our government decided to pay the employers, and then we have to pay the employees. But it's just like us doing the government's work, really. And obviously we'll try and keep as many employees as possible. I mean, every business wants to do that. We don't want to lay off staff, all that kind of stuff. But like everything, it's just a matter of supply and demand. If there's no demand for whatever product you or service you are doing, you will lay off staff, and that's just a fact. So I think that the government will probably extend the pay period a little bit, because I don't think they'll be in a position in 8 weeks in order to handle all the unemployment. So they might extend that for another month or so, I'm picking, so that people can then slowly, as they get their notices from the employer saying they haven't got a job, can start applying in the normal way. And that's a shame. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope most people keep their jobs, but I don't think that's going to be the reality, to be fair. There's going to be a lot of people out there who are scared to travel after this for quite a while. They're going to be scared to travel, scared to spend money, scared to socialise. And of course, a lot of people will go, yeah, nah, man, I'm going to go out there and spend up large in my local community and have some fun. That's great. But unfortunately, that's not going to be everybody. And you only need a small percentage of people to stay at home. And then, of course, all businesses are affected anyway. On top of that, of course, we're going to have business closures. They already happened. So you just got to be prepared for the worst. So, you know, as I said, if you're both working at the moment, don't think that's the norm, or don't think that's guaranteed. There's no job guaranteed. Government, local government, whatever, they're all going to have to look like they're doing the right thing and start trimming staff if the work out there is not needed for them, like every business. I mean, that's just a fact of life. So there is going to be high unemployment. You need to be flexible in what you can and can't do. So if you are unfortunate enough to lose your job, then you need to be flexible for other jobs you can do. If you're just qualified or your expertise is just in one small area, then you need to probably learn some other stuff real quick, because there will be a lot of work out there, but it might not be exactly what you've been used to. So, you know, get out there, get rid of debt, get your costs down. I would advise to have some spare cash at home. How much? It really depends on, you know, what you think, you know, 500, 1,000, whatever. But one of the good things about having spare cash, it gives you the flexibility to be able to do stuff that you might not be able to do. Now, obviously, the government itself and banks are trying to make us go cashless, and that's so they can have more control of us, which is a whole another topic in another video. But I was in town last year when we had a power cut. The whole town just shut. It just stopped because nothing worked. If you've got cash, you can still do stuff between friends. You can, you know, you could get a scenario of a bank failure. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, we would have thought a virus was impossible 2 months ago, so anything is possible. If you have a bank failure, you could have FPOS go down, because it could be tied up to a certain bank, and then how are you going to use your card? So nothing is, you know, off the table here. So have a bit of cash just purely for safety. If nothing happens, everything stays fine, you can always just spend it later, put it back in your bank account, not a problem. But it's just a good little bit of security to have. Obviously, yeah, I said keep your work options open. Investment wise, everything else, we're going to do some videos later on in coming months about what I think is going to be some good stuff to invest in. There's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up in the next 6 months to a year. And so for those of you who are out there looking for some opportunities, some of it will require some money, some won't. You just got to, you know, just when you have a major shock like this through the economic system, it's a bit like a reset. Certain businesses that may have been on the edge before this, in actual fact, just going on that, the whole world was on the verge of a collapse before the COVID-19. So, of course, they're going to blame this whole economic collapse on the virus, but in actual fact, if any of you were paying attention, you'll notice that the whole world was in serious trouble for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. We've never really cleared the debt from 2008. We've just increased it, and everybody's been saying that we're on the verge of a major shock. We just didn't know what was going to cause it. Now the virus has come along, which is probably way bigger than I thought the shock was going to be. I thought it might have been a bank failure or something like that. Deutsche Bank is one coming to mind, but that didn't happen. We got the virus, but I mean, you had companies out there within 2 weeks of shutdown or a week of shutdown declaring bankruptcy, closing. I mean, you got to wonder, how do you have a company that is operating successfully because they made good profits last year and stuff, suddenly stop work for a week or two and close? It's like, really? It's just, they obviously haven't prepared for anything. They're living day to day. They're using next month's income to pay last month's bills, all that kind of scenario. So it's a bit of a Ponzi scheme, if you like, so that once, if the work stops, bang, they just fall over. And I think a lot of businesses have been encouraged to do that in the last 10, 20 years. We've all been encouraged to borrow, to 100% deposit or 100% payment on a car. You just borrow HP the whole amount. You can borrow from 95% to get your house loan, 90%, all that kind of stuff. Borrow, no problem. You can afford it, so long as everything goes really well. And as soon as there's a hiccup, you just fall over. So I think this is going to be one lesson from this. I'm old enough to remember my grandparents who went through the Great Depression, and basically that whole generation after that Great Depression never borrowed a single dollar again. They said if you cannot afford to pay cash for it, do not buy it. So that was after they went through a depression. And then of course we've gone a full circle now to most people, young people, is that, oh no, I want it now, I'll borrow the money and I'll pay for it in years to come. And so we've gone that whole circle, which I think is going to slowly reverse this, which is probably going to be good for the economy and everything else in the long term. But short term, it's going to be really, really hard. So stay optimistic out there. As I said, there's going to be, get your house in order and make sure that you plan for the worst and then hope for the best. And then there's going to be some awesome opportunities coming up next year. Really will be. We'll be looking at some of that stuff, whether it be property, businesses for sale. I'm sure there's going to be business that you can walk into and just pay the rent and pay nothing and you own something. So all that kind of stuff, there's going to be amazing stuff out there. So it's really cool to be able to think about what we can do and what we might be able to achieve in the future. So my next video, remember, it's what you've missed the most in the lockdown. So if you like to put a comment in and let me know about that, then we can talk about it as well. I'll mention that. Subscribe, like, and everything else. Apart from that, we've just got the sun going down again on a beautiful day, the 28th of April today. And we're going to have a lovely evening, a bit colder though, I think. So enjoy your level 3. And for the rest of the world that's slowly, I think, coming out of lockdown as well in different areas, I hope they're all doing well and staying safe as well. So until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.